So, how do you use GIMP to make Web 2.0 buttons? Now, sometimes you'll hear from different people, they'll call it Web 2.0 buttons, but Web 2.0 is actually a style of creating graphics. So, that said, let's go ahead and go to GIMP. Right now I'm looking at GIMP and the layers dialog box. In the previous video, I talked about GIMP and the tools and the features. Now I'm going to go straight to using those tools and features, and I'll show you how you can use just 3 or 4 of those features and create a nice looking Web 2.0 style button. So I want to go to File, and then I want to create a new image, and then you want to make sure the width of that image is about 200 and the height is about 100. In this case, you just want to make sure that the width is double the size of the height. So whether you go with 150 as a width, make sure that you go half of that amount for the height. And under the advanced options, you want to make sure that you choose a transparent background. And you can fill in the comment section if you want, press OK, and here we go. Now remember that we want to make a button, and normally buttons look like a square or a rectangle, but it has little curves around it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the rectangle tool here, and I'm going to maximize this a little bit so you can see it better. And I'm also going to zoom in, so I'll zoom in. So here we are. What I want you to do is click on that and put your cursor so that the top and the left crossbars hit the square right here, as you can see here, right? Click on that and do the same thing here. And I'll let go. Good. Now the second thing I want you to do is click on the Select tab. And then at the bottom, you're going to see rounded rectangle. What we want to do here is make the edges of this rectangle circular, so it looks more like a button than just a rectangle. I'd recommend something around 40–45%. As you can see here, it's created a more of a round area here, which is what we want. Now what I want you to do is fill in this button area. So we're going to click on the bucket fill tool, and then what you can do is you can choose the color by clicking the foreground. What I want you to do is pick a bright color, something like bright red, bright yellow, anything bright. You don't want something dark, and I'll show you why in just a minute. In this example, I'm going to pick red. I'll go ahead and fill in that area, and we're halfway there. The second thing I want you to do is create a new layer. So I'll create a new layer, and I'll actually show you that right now we're looking at this layer here. So I'm going to make a new layer, and I'll call that inner rectangle. You can name it anything you want. Basically what I'm doing is creating a rectangle on the outer end and putting a smaller rectangle on the inner end to create that shiny look. Now the reason why I'm creating a new layer is so that if we don't get it exactly right, we can move that shape around to get it to where we want it to be. So go ahead and click on that rectangle select tool again, and let's make another rectangle. So I want to click on the edge here, and you don't always have to get it perfect, but you want to get it as close as possible. Now here's where you make the rectangle. You don't want to go all the way down here. You want to make a little bit here and leave some space. So we'll do it here, let go, click on select, do the same thing as I showed you earlier. 40%, press OK, and there we go. So that's pretty close. So I'm going to go back to the toolbar here, and I'm going to choose the gradient tool or the blend tool and click the gradient button here. You want to make sure that it says foreground to transparent. So I got that chosen, so that's a good thing. Now you want to go back here and choose the foreground and make it white. And make sure that the background color here is whatever color you had back here. And you want to make sure the settings are as follows. So you want to make sure that it's a linear, foreground to transparent, and choose dithering. Now as far as the opacity, you want to make sure it's somewhere from 44% and below. You don't want to get to 100%. Once you have those settings correct, then we want to go from the middle area and then press down on the left mouse button and go all the way down. And you can do it one more time if you like. And once we're satisfied, then we can leave it there. So the whole purpose of this is to give it a shiny look. And as we can see here, we've done that. Now here's the trick. Earlier I asked you to create a new layer, correct? So what we're going to do here is we can move that layer around, and I'll show you as you can see here, right? Well, the higher you move it, the more it looks like has that Web 2.0 style. The further you move it down, it looks too much like a rectangle. So we can move it up a little bit more, and that's good. So once we're satisfied with that, we can add the text. So I'll click on the text tool here, put something like buy now, and let's say for example I want to move it around, and we'll center align it, and we're good to go. So now that we're done with the Web 2.0 image, we can zoom out back to 100%. And if we're happy with it, we can go ahead and fill in the end in the back end with white. So I'm going to choose the bucket and make it white. And then I'll flatten the image. Click on image, flatten image. And we're good to go. We can go ahead and save it. So you can go to File, Save As, select the file type. In this case, I'm going to save it as a PNG file. You can save it anything you want, like a JPEG, GIF file, anything like that. I'm going to save it as a PNG file, and I'll call it the Buy Now Button.png file, and I'll click on Save. And there is our Web 2.0 style looking button.